It's been a long day. Let's watch some TV.
Wow, what a funny episode of King of Queens.
Aw, I can't believe I missed it.
Shirts that go hard.
Oh, that's the one on the Twitter account. This is a new show. I gotta see it.
Welcome to Shirts That Go Hard, the only show where we look at funny shirts that go hard. I'm already hard thinking about it. Our first shirt says, I googled my symptoms. Turns out I just needed the sloppy. That's epic. That shirt goes hard. Whoa, our second shirt says MILF. Man, I love fisting. Talk about subverting your
I don't know what I was expecting. Hey, Kevin! Welcome to the channel. I think if I were to ask someone nowadays about e-celebrities trying to become famous, I would get a lot of references to TikTokers, YouTubers, Twitch streamers, and the word cringe would be thrown in a lot.
Just move! If you got to know it, just move. It's all I want to see, some movement.
But what if I told you there was a time where running a Twitter account would be enough to get you your own television show, like on a network? The year is 2009. Obama was officially sworn into office. Michael Jackson was found dead in his home from a drug overdose. Riot Games released League of Legends. And of course, a little account called Shit My Dad Says was officially created on Twitter.com. Quite a year. But let's focus on that last one for a second, because while those other three things are monumental pieces of news, this got a TV show. The Shit My Dad Says Twitter account was a Twitter account that probably unsurprisingly tweeted out shit that the creator's dad had said. Now, Twitter was still new enough that the idea of an account like this was pretty novel, and because the account was considered novel, it gained some popularity. I mean, compared to numbers of today, these look like nothing, but for the time, I imagine this was viral. I don't know. I wasn't on Twitter at this point, alright? I was probably like 11. The main thing people were using Twitter for at the time was tweeting out that they were gonna go play FIFA 09. So you gotta understand that, like, it was a very different time. In 2010, the Shit My Dad Says Twitter account managed to get a book deal, and through the book success, also managed to get a television deal with CBS. Just a disclaimer, I'm gonna start abbreviating here because Shit My Dad Says is very annoying to say. I'm just gonna call it SDS. I'll probably switch between, but just if I say SDS, Shit Dad Says. The SDS show was picked up by CBS and lasted about one season. And looking at the cast list, you get the idea that they really didn't think this was going to be a one-season show. We have William Shatner as the titular dad that says shit. Will Sasso and Nicole Sullivan from Mad TV are also in this show. And our main character is played by Jonathan Sadowski? I don't really know who this guy is, but he must be doing well because Yahoo Sports wrote an article titled 10 Sexy Pics of Jonathan Sadowski After His Full Frontal. Someone faxing to this house? Okay. So what went wrong? I mean, we clearly have a star-studded cast, and the script is based off a Twitter account, so it could never fail. That's a foolproof way to write a great show. Well, if you were to ask the show's creator, Justin Halpern, in 2013, which somebody did, thankfully, he would tell you that he wished the show could be darker. But the network wanted the show to be a multicam sitcom with more of a jokey tone. More Two and a Half Men, less Breaking Bad. Breaking Dad, if you will. And according to Justin, this just didn't fit the character of his father. Now, I'm not going to dismiss this idea because it never was made, so we don't actually know. For all I know, his version could be really good. I don't think the Shit My Dad Says Twitter account ever needed a show, period. And while we didn't get the dark version that Justin Halpern wanted, we did get the jokey version. And so in the meantime, I figured we would give the jokey version of Shit My Dad Says a watch and just see how bad really is it. So as I was saying before, Shit My Dad Says stars William Shatner as the dad who says shit, Dr. Edison Milford Goodson III. Jonathan Sadowski plays Henry Goodson, the son, an ironic name, and Will Sasso and Nicole Sullivan play Vince and Bonnie Goodson, Ed's other son and his wife. And honestly, that's it. That's our main cast. The pilot opens with Henry heading over to his dad's place to visit him for the first time in what appears to be quite some time, because Henry has been laid off and needs money. A classic sitcom situation. The sound of someone talking outside startles his father, so he goes and grabs his gun and gets ready to deal with the intruder.
What? I bet he's changed.
Guts or nuts, your choice.
The show follows Henry as he deals with being laid off and being reintegrated into his wacky family that he hasn't dealt with in some time. I don't generally view pilots favorably because they tend to be the worst episode in a series, or at least one of the worst. But wow, is this pilot ever rough. Pretty much every line that William Shatner says in this pilot sounds like it was just read off the Twitter account. And because of that, it makes for these really awkward conversations that sound like an alien was trying to write dialogue.
Did you hear that noise coming from the garden at 5 in the morning? Sounded like two animals fighting.
It was. Me and a raccoon. I caught him trying to eat one of my cucumbers. I grabbed him by the tail and I windmilled him into the shed. Let him think about what he's done.
I was going to try and do a deep dive for this episode, but the more I rewatched it to write down notes, the more bored I got watching it. This pilot is just so uninteresting that I literally could not focus on taking notes. So I'm going to give a quick summary of the plot. Henry needs money and doesn't have a place to stay. And he doesn't want to ask his dad because, they don't get along too well. So he goes and he sleeps in a cot in the attic, which just upsets him greatly, and we'll come back to that later. And the next day, Vince and Bonnie show up, his brother and sister-in-law. And while they're visiting, they talk, we're just establishing characters, and they mention to Ed the idea of maybe having him move in with them.
Bob, you can always live with us, right, Bonnie?
I'm sorry, kiddos, what now?
Because Ed has to redo his driving test, and he's worried that he won't pass. Because Henry wants to have a better relationship with his dad, he helps Ed study for his driving test, and we find out Ed has the same attention span that I do having to watch this show.
Why can't you focus?
It had to be you.
They fight because, of course, Ed realizes that Henry wanted to ask him for money, but he wouldn't do so, and obviously he's just being friendly and helpful because he wants money. So they fight, and Henry mentions that Vince didn't actually mean his offer for him to go move in because Ed is such an old cranky man that nobody likes him. Fast forward, Ed is hanging out with Vince and Bonnie where he brings up the idea, and what do you know, Henry was right.
I thought maybe I'd sell the place, take you up on your offer, and come live with you. What do you say?
Realizing this, Ed goes to take his driver's test, where he is rude to the person behind the counter for no reason, and so he fails, and then he guilt trips the guy behind the counter into making him pass because he just talks about how shitty his life is. So after this conversation, he goes and buys a bed for his son Henry and offers for him to stay, and that is the episode. It is really uneventful. Can't say I laughed even a little bit during this whole episode. I didn't want to write this whole video off at just watching the pilot. I watched a couple other episodes in the middle of the season. I didn't write anything about them. I just wanted to check them out. They were fine. The best way I would describe it is background noise. Kind of the same way I look at a show like 2.5 Men. You throw it on because you don't want to be stuck with your own thoughts and you have to vacuum or something. But I did want to talk about the finale, because the finale, first of all, is like an 18 episode difference in time. So like if their writing was going to get better, it should have gotten better by this point. And secondly, the way they have the finale makes it very apparent that they did not think they were going to get canceled, because there is a lot that happens here that is very clearly trying to set up for a season 2. So let's talk about it. This episode opens up with one of the most early 2010s conversations I've ever heard. You see, Henry is updating his Facebook status, which already was like a weird thing to hear because I can't remember the last time someone updated their Facebook status. I do find it interesting that he's not tweeting this though, because Twitter was around and the show is based on a Twitter account. So before we get into this scene, I just want to drop a cringe warning.
I am going to write in the hizzy faux shizzy.
Oh my god! So the writing didn't get better. In fact, dare I say, this line alone proves that it got worse. This is like nuclear waste. Like no one should go near this with like a 10-foot pole. I don't even want to like quote it. That's how bad it feels hearing it. Feel repulsed. Anyway, this whole scene is just one big Facebook advertisement, which I do think is very funny. Mark Zuckerberg, famously a guy who only attaches his name to great ideas.
You still chilling like a villain?
Nah. Now I'm in the hizzy faux shizzy.
Cool.
So we're going to talk about the B plot of this episode first, which follows Vince and Bonnie. They're real estate agents. They go to this mansion and they're filming a reality show, but like they set this up like as if they have no idea they're filming a reality show, and I guess they're just going to like get a listing. So the show they're filming is called The Real Divorcees of San Diego. So the two of them get roped into being a part of this show. They're clearly not very good at being on camera. And at the end of the B plot, we find out that Bonnie is pregnant after she vomits all over the main star of the show. And that's very funny, I guess.
Cool.
And also, I guess I forgot to mention at the beginning, they've been trying for a baby, it's implied, for a while. And Vince thought that Bonnie was pregnant, but Bonnie didn't think she was. And then we find out she is. It goes nowhere, the show gets canceled, so who cares? Now, the A-plot of the show is insane. So Henry writes an article about being laid off and living with his father, and through this article, somebody contacts him wanting to go on a date. Already, like, just a weird thing. People don't do that, right? So while Henry's going on dates with this girl, she really wants to meet Henry's dad, which is like a very strange request when you've been on like 1 or 2 dates with somebody. So of course he brings her over. Ed and Henry's girlfriend talk for a while, where it's hinted at that maybe, just maybe, this girl is Ed's daughter.
Cool.
And also Henry's still dating her, because Ed doesn't want to tell her. So Ed goes out and gets a test done and finds out that this girl is not Ed's daughter. Thank God. Oh, wait, you thought that was the episode twist. No. The real episode twist is that that girl is not Ed's daughter. Her actual boyfriend might be Ed's son. And she was like going to check things out because he was too nervous to. So at the end of the episode, we get this shot of like a POV of the door opening up and everyone standing around, and this guy goes like, "Hi, Dad."
Dad?
And we don't know who it is. So you could put anybody there and it could be just as accurate as what they wanted. Dad? I can't believe it's you.
Any new technology leads to my kids masturbating.
On second thought, I think this might be the wrong house. You're not my dad, actually. I think I got the number wrong. I'm gonna go check down the street in another town and see. My bad. All right, bye. Cool. That's a rough look at the pilot and the finale of Shit My Dad Says, the first Twitter account to get a TV show. Notice how I said first, and we'll talk about that in a minute. If I'm gonna be like 100% honest, the writing was fine. After the pilot, it gets better. It becomes less one-liners and there's more actual human dialogue. But like, fine, especially when you're already a CBS multicam sitcom, is pretty much just bad for TV standards nowadays. It's fine for background noise, but we live in an age now where YouTube exists, so if I want background noise, I'll just put on a 12-hour video essay about some weird Easter egg in a video game. Before I wrap this video up though, I did want to take a look at some of the reviews. Great anti-political correctness stuff. We're off to a really good start for this one. We need more like this show in Last Man Standing. The very fact the US insisted on changing the title to Bleep My Dad Says actually says it all. Political correctness is increasingly driving and diluting our lives. The plot here is about an ex-army, very direct-speaking, non-politically correct dad who has his young son thrust upon him. What a weird wording. When your son is thrust upon you. Both have to learn to live with each other, making for some good stuff, and very clearly something that would have all everyone is a winner types cringing. The role played by his other, less appreciated son is also great, and also steps on a few toes. We need more of this stuff to help us laugh at the real world, not that of the lawyers. You know your show is doing really well when this is the kind of crowd that gives it the thumbs up of approval. Somebody should really let this guy know about HBO. Also, I will say, I did notice a trend in the ones that were really positive that they wish the show could be more politically incorrect. They want the dad to be more of an asshole. And I always think it's really funny how like a show will very clearly be about someone who's like supposed to be a shitty person, and then the response from some people will be like, yeah, we love this guy. He gets the average man. We need more shows about people who just suck. Like, what? Cannot believe how bad this is. I cannot believe some people have written positive feedback. I wonder if they are the people who have stickers on the back of their car saying, "My other car is a Porsche." This show is awful. No funny lines, canned laughter at every available opportunity, and never in the right places, if there is a right place. William Shatner was simply brilliant in Boston Legal, and I expected so much more from him. The script is very weak and simply just not funny. The whole show is based around 1 or 2 phrases that the writer's father used on Twitter, which were funny in that context, but not in the show. I managed to watch the first episode, but admit to turning the sound down as to avoid the fake laughter. Why not film in front of a live audience? Maybe the answer lies in the fact that it isn't funny. Very sad. That was like harsh. I think that might have been a harsher review than my whole video has been so far. Anyway, so the reviews are mixed. I kind of alluded to before, this was like the first Twitter account to get a TV show. There was another one called Very British Problems that got a TV show. It also lasted one season, and the reviews seem to be slightly better than Shit My Dad Says, so I don't know if it's like a better show, but it is a different show, and it came out a few years later. I didn't personally watch it myself because A, I am not British, so I don't think I would even get the humor. And also because B, James Corden is in it, and while I don't like to pray for people's downfall, sometimes things just kind of work out. But I'm going to assume it wasn't much better because, again, it got one season and it's based on a Twitter account. So, like, if there's anybody who's seen it and wants to tell me about it, feel free because I'm, like, literally never going to watch it. I do want to reiterate, this is not a video where my plan was to shit on the writer, Justin Halpern. He is currently on a writer strike. All the support to him. He's working on shows that I hear are good. He's probably very talented. You know, if I was in the same situation, I also would have taken the deal. And, you know, he talks about it in the article I referenced earlier, but the network basically torpedoed his idea. I don't know if his actual idea would have been good, but at the end of the day, we will never know. So for what did come out, it was bad. But again, I don't know how much control he actually had. I just don't think the idea of a show based on this Twitter account was a good idea. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video. And also leave a comment just about the video or if there's anything you guys want me to talk about in the future. I always love suggestions. I like having a backlog of things to talk about. Movies, TV shows, whatever you want. I'm all ears. I read all the comments. Bye!